You're sitting there, right? Books open, phones like way across the room. Everything's perfectly set up. But your brain is literally on another planet or something. You read a paragraph, then you read it again, and you're like, wait, what did I just read? Zero clue. And right there, that exact moment, you ask yourself, why the hell can't I focus? Here's the thing, and this is going to sound crazy, but it's not just you. I mean, research actually shows the average student can only focus for about like 7 minutes while studying. Think about that for a second. 7 minutes. That's less time than it takes to make instant ramen, you know? That's shorter than the average YouTube intro. Your attention span is literally shorter than a commercial break. And you know what the craziest part is? It's getting worse every single year. Like, back in 2000, the average attention span was 12 seconds. Now, it's 8 seconds. A goldfish has a 9-second attention span. You're literally losing a competition to a fish. I mean, come on. But here's what nobody's telling you, okay? This isn't your fault. Your brain wasn't designed for the world we live in now. Think about it for a sec. Your ancestors had to focus on one thing: survival. Finding food, escaping predators, that's it. But you're expected to focus while your phone's buzzing, Netflix is literally one click away, and your brain knows that TikTok exists. I mean, your brain's still running on like primitive software, but you're trying to focus in this crazy modern digital world filled with endless distractions. But here's what's wild. Japanese students have the highest focus levels in the entire world. So, what are they doing that you're not? Okay, so be brutally honest with yourself for a second. How many times do you check your phone while studying? Like, actually count. 5 times? 10? Maybe you stopped counting because you do it so much you don't even notice anymore, right? There was this study, I think it was called The Power of Memory or something, where they tracked students. On average, students check their phone every 5 minutes while studying. And every single time they do that, it takes 23 minutes to regain full focus. So when you're checking your phone every 5 minutes, you're literally not studying. You're just pretending to study. During my freshman year of college, I made the exact same mistake. I'd sit in the library for hours, but even though my eyes were on the page, my brain was scrolling through Instagram. Then one day, I watched my Japanese friend Yuki study, and when he worked, it was like watching someone meditate or something. I couldn't even see his phone. It wasn't just that he didn't check his phone, it was deeper than that. His face had this expression, completely calm, almost serene. There was no stress in his eyes, no frustration on his face. Meanwhile, I looked like I was going through some kind of mental breakdown. My leg bouncing under the table, checking the time every few minutes, wondering how much longer I had to suffer through this textbook. I remember thinking, how is he doing that? How does he control himself like a robot? But then I noticed something else. After exactly 15 minutes, he'd close his book, close his eyes, and just breathe. Not checking his phone, not scrolling, just breathing. For exactly 3 minutes, then he'd open his eyes and go right back to studying with the same intense focus. It was like watching a professional athlete train, you know? Everything was intentional. Everything had a purpose. I got curious and asked him about it. He told me something that, honestly changed everything. He said, we Japanese view focus as a skill, just like math or sports, and like any skill, you develop it through training. That day, everything clicked, because I thought not being able to focus was my fault, like I was broken or something. But the real problem was completely different. Let me tell you what the real problem is, okay? Your brain doesn't focus because you never taught it how to focus. Exactly. Focus isn't some natural talent you're born with. It's learned. And the Japanese education system has known this for like decades. Here's their first technique, the Japanese version of Pomodoro, but it's way more powerful than classic Pomodoro. Instead of the usual 25 minutes work, 5 minutes break thing, Japanese students do this. 15 minutes of complete focus, 3 minutes of breathing exercises with eyes closed, 15 minutes of complete focus, 5 minutes of light movement, then repeat the cycle. Why is this so effective? Because your brain starts getting tired after 15 minutes. When you force yourself to push through for 25 minutes, those last 10 minutes are basically useless anyway. But when you use those 15 minutes at maximum efficiency and immediately take a break, your brain stays fresh. And that 3-minute breathing exercise, it works like magic. You close your eyes, breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, breathe out through your mouth for 8 seconds. You do this technique 3 times and boom, your brain resets. It's literally like restarting a computer. Let me break down what's actually happening in your brain during this process because this is cool. When you breathe in for 4 seconds, you're activating your parasympathetic nervous system. That's your body's calm down button. When you hold for 7 seconds, you're giving your brain a chance to process and clear out mental clutter. And when you breathe out for 8 seconds, you're releasing all that tension and stress that built up during your study session. This isn't some mystical meditation thing, okay? This is straight up neuroscience. Dr. Andrew Huberman from Stanford talks about this all the time. He calls it physiological sighing, and it's one of the fastest ways to reduce stress and increase focus. Japanese students have been doing this for generations, and now Western neuroscience is finally catching up and saying, yeah, they were right all along. Now you're probably saying, okay, but I still get distracted. That's because you're allowing yourself to get distracted. Japanese students call this attention leaks, and to prevent it, they carefully design their environment. If you look at a Japanese student's desk, here's what you'll see. Only the materials they're working on right now. Nothing else. No extra pens, no snacks. Definitely no phone. Because every extra object is another stimulus your brain has to process. According to research from Columbia University, students who have too much stuff on their desk are 30% less productive. Why? Because your brain is constantly generating background thoughts like, that pen looks nice. Should I eat that chocolate? I need to check my phone. Even if you're not aware of it, your energy is draining. Here's a test you can do right now. Look at your desk. Really look at it. How many things are on there that you're not actively using? That empty coffee cup from this morning, that's taking up brain space. Those 7 different pens when you only need one, brain space. That stack of papers you keep telling yourself you'll organize later, major brain space. Your brain's like a computer with 50 browser tabs open. Each item on your desk is another tab. And just like how your computer slows down with too many tabs, your brain slows down with too much visual clutter. Japanese students understand this instinctively. They practice what's called minimalist studying. Before each study session, they literally clear everything off their desk except what they need for the next 15 minutes. That's it. Nothing else exists in that moment. Here's the Japanese student's second technique, the single task rule. In Japanese, this is called Ichigo Zanmai. It means complete devotion to one thing. Do you listen to music while studying? Do you watch something in the background? Then you're not studying. You're just burning time. Japanese students focus on one thing and don't do anything else until it's finished. When I first tried this, the first 10 minutes were insanely difficult. My brain constantly wanted to do something else. But then something happened. After the 15-minute mark, I entered such a deep focus that hours felt like seconds. And that study session let me finish in 1 hour what normally would have taken me 3 hours. I mean, that's huge. Now you're saying, okay, but what about motivation? I can't even get started. This is where the Japanese use their most powerful technique, Kaizen.
The philosophy of small steps. Japanese students don't set huge goals. They don't say, I'm going to read 100 pages today. Instead, they say this, I'm going to study for 5 minutes today. Yes, you heard that right. Just 5 minutes. Because 5 minutes is such a small goal that your brain can't resist. And here's the magic part. Once you start those 5 minutes, you usually want to continue. Because starting is always harder than continuing. Once you gain momentum, you don't want to stop. When I first applied this technique, I felt this incredible relief. There was no more pressure of, I have to study for 3 hours. I just told myself 5 minutes, and those 5 minutes usually turned into 30 minutes. The ritual. This changed everything for me. But now I'm going to tell you the most critical technique. If you don't do this, everything else is pointless. Japanese students perform a ritual before studying. This ritual sends a message to their brain. It's study time now. For example, before sitting at their desk, they wash their hands. They take a deep breath. And when they sit down, they know exactly what they're going to do. Why is this important? Because your brain needs preparation. When you jump straight into studying, your brain goes into shock and it resists. But when you create a ritual, your brain knows it's study time and it doesn't resist. My ritual is this. I sit at my desk, I close my eyes, I take 3 deep breaths. Then I write down what I'm going to do today on a piece of paper. Only 3 things, and I don't get up until those 3 things are done. It's that simple, but the effect is incredible. I don't wait around for hours trying to get myself to start studying. My ritual puts me in automatic mode. Now maybe you're thinking, okay, these are great, but what if I still get distracted? This is where the Japanese concept of shoshin comes in. It means beginner's mind. Japanese students approach every new study session as if they're studying for the first time. So what if you couldn't focus in the past? That was then. This is a new day, a new chance. Instead of blaming yourself, be curious. Ask yourself, how can I focus better this time? This mindset shift changes everything. Because when you blame yourself, your stress hormones spike, and stress is focus's biggest enemy. But when you're kind to yourself, your brain relaxes, and a relaxed brain focuses. This is scientifically proven. According to Stanford University research, students who are compassionate toward themselves focus 40% better. Like, that's not even close. That's a massive difference. Now I'm going to give you the last technique Japanese students use. This might be the most powerful one, the silence hour. Every day, just 1 hour, no notifications, no music, no distractions, just you and your work. Japanese people call this ma. It means empty space. And in that emptiness, your brain reaches its deepest focus. When I first tried this, I felt incredibly uncomfortable. The silence felt too heavy. But after 3 days, I got used to the silence. And I noticed something. That 1 hour of silent studying was more productive than 3 hours of regular studying. Because real focus starts in silence. Now, let's bring this all together, okay? Japanese students aren't just naturally good at focusing, they learned how to focus. They use 15-minute study blocks, brain resets with breathing exercises, simplified study spaces, single-task focus, small steps, Kaizen, pre-study rituals, self-compassion, shoshin, and daily silence hours. You can do these too. But don't forget one thing. Focus doesn't develop overnight. It's like a muscle. You're going to strengthen it a little bit every day. On day 1, maybe you can only focus for 5 minutes. That's fine. A month from now, you'll focus for 30 minutes. And 3 months from now, you'll be able to study for hours without interruption, just like those Japanese students. All you have to do is start today, right now. Turn off your phone, simplify your study space, set aside 15 minutes, and focus completely. Just 15 minutes. If you actually want to change something, do this right now. Tomorrow morning, wake up and do your first silence hour. You'll see the results. I promise. So, Which technique are you going to try first? I'm genuinely curious. Let me know.